I wanted to record this outside, but there's so much noise that I thought I'd record it inside. So, I had this interesting idea. Now, this interesting idea was that I wanted to go and see some stuff in China. Now, as I was contemplating this and recording a video of mine which outlined the process of the diabolicalness of trying to arrange package deals and therefore getting the actual plane information, so in other words, getting the multi-city trip working, I looked at the price and thought, I don't know if I can do this, right? I don't know if this is the right thing for me to do at this stage. It's costing me, well over £1,000 to go just to Shenzhen, right? Because I live in Britain, right? Britain going to Shenzhen costs more fuel because it's a 12-hour flight directly. Now, that was okay. That wasn't too bad. I didn't really have much of a problem there. But what I found interesting was that, I just wasn't sure about it. So I just went out. I went outside. And as I was going outside, I was just trying to find a nice quiet spot, just a spot, just to meditate for an hour. Because there's this theory, which I'll come back to in a minute. So I'm trying to meditate for an hour. And what comes along? Oh, this woman from somewhere comes up and just says, "Oh, can you move up, please, in the middle of the bench?" So I'm getting annoyed. I'm annoyed. This person just comes out of nowhere and interrupts my flow for meditation. I'm looking at the ducks, trying to understand the universe, right? Trying to understand things. And my attention is brought before then to a tree. And my brain was thinking about foundations. It was thinking about, the way the tree looks, right? So when you look at a tree, the branches go in different directions. And I was like, maybe I'm in this kind of tree phase where it's like, the foundations are being rebuilt, the old trees being chopped down, new seeds are being planted, and therefore a tree is being made. And in that tree, the foundations need to be strong enough to hold the new situation up, so that way that person can flourish, right? So anytime somebody says, "Oh, I failed," and stuff like that, I personally don't look at it that way, because you're in the process of transformation to go from what you was before into something which is new. And let me tell you, that process sucks. That process is diabolically rubbish, because I hate that messy middle. I think anybody who's been through it hates the damn middle bit. That transition between what was old to that bit which is new. And there's so much uncertainty with it. Like, honestly, things like the job market, for example. You go there, you apply for a job, and then it's just rejection. Like, there's no actual humanity in it anymore. It's just like, what the bloody hell, right? But then you make a business, and you're like, I don't know what to sell. I don't know what to do. I don't know if my idea is going to be valid, right? I'm running out of runway, blah, 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 blah. So there's all of that stuff, right? And I'm calculating all this stuff in my mind, by the way, as I'm sitting there looking at that tree and looking at this idiot woman trying to do all this crap to me, right? Going there, like, blah, 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 blah. Shut up, sit down and look at the ducks. Oh, my boyfriend, shut up. Right? So I got pissed off. And then I start walking over to the park, and then I go to the park. Then what's in the park, right? Because we have a pond, and now pond, that's a no-go because there's too much noise. I go to the park. As I go to the park, right, there's a pond, right? And I want to go and sit at the pond, right? And just look at the pond, look at the fishes, look at the stuff in the pond, and blank my mind. So I'm looking at the pond, right? And then what do I see, right? As I'm trying to look at that pond, 2 gates. There's a lock on the gate, right? And it says, "Oh, sorry, the council has deemed that renovation works are needed for the pond." So I'm like, bugger. That's another no-go. So I go walk around the park. It's a big park. And as I'm walking around the park, I come across 2 girls. These 2 girls were foraging. They were foraging for chives in the middle of the park, because there's a woodland that you can go through in the middle of the park, where there are leaves, trees, and all this kind of thing. So I look at that and I think, like, I'm not so sure what they're doing. I'll just, go and have a little look. I have a little look, and lo and behold, these two people are from China. So 2 girls from China. So I asked them, like, what's going on? Like, what are you doing? Like, what's going on here? Says, well, when we're in China, we forage these chives, and then we use these chives with egg. We put them with egg, and then we eat it. I was like, wow. So she gets one. I was like, really? So how do you know which one's good and which one's bad? Is what I said, right? She says, well, we don't really. We just look at the greenness of it, and then if it's green, we eat them. I was like, oh, okay. So I said, well, I'm thinking about going to Shenzhen and Chongqing. Like, are you from there? She says, no, they're from the south. I'm actually from the north. It's like, okay. So I'm like, okay, that's interesting. So I'm trying to, get a little bit more information, but I'm not sure exactly where she's from. I think she said she's from some Haonin, I think, which is in the north, is what I think she said. I think she said she's from Haonin. So I thought, okay, that's interesting. So as I'm walking back and doing this video, I thought to myself, I was thinking about booking my flight to Chongqing and Shenzhen in the morning. And as I'm walking out and my mind is blanking itself, I'm finding myself in a situation where I'm meeting people from China in the region. I thought, that's kind of interesting, right? That's kind of strange, right? It's not something that I would expect, right? In the middle of just walking in a park for about 2.5 hours. So it got me thinking. And I thought to myself, maybe this is like a signal, like this is a sign to say, maybe you should fucking go. And maybe look, like, okay, you don't have that much cash to really go on a proper trip. Have you thought about looking northwards? And that's the interpretation that I got from the higher intelligence, God, the universe, or whatever. And that was my kind of assessment that maybe I'm looking in the wrong place, but I'm booking for the wrong place, but I'm booking for the right country. If that makes sense. So it got me thinking, maybe that's what I need to do. It's not what I want to do because I want to go to Chongqing and Shenzhen, but maybe what I need to do is go probably a little bit up north to a place that speaks English. Maybe that's the interpretation. Maybe that's the sign. So what does that mean in terms of the context of this video? My initial goal was to go out and do some meditation for an hour. But what I learned was that I pushed this information about booking my trip into my subconscious memory. So it wasn't conscious. The only thing that I was worrying about was money. But in an unexpected twist, I got an answer to booking my potential holiday for a reset. So going back to the meditation part, there's a person on the internet who did this experiment who said, if you meditate for an hour and you blank your mind for an hour, you think of nothing, right? Within the first 20 minutes, you got all these thoughts going in, but after 20 minutes, your mind will start to go blank. And he said that the answer which you seek comes within the hour, right? You'll get an answer to something which is a problem. And then from that answer, if you take action, it will go your way. I'm not sure exactly who it was, but it was a 1986 thing. And I'm beginning to think there's probably a lot of power in that. There's probably a lot of power in it. Because I just had an experience which kind of told me something very similar. So I'll leave you with this. If you have a problem, maybe just go outside, and meditate on it. And in the next video, I'm going to go and tie that into doom scrolling. And we'll talk about that in a minute. So this is going to be this is kind of like part 1. Part 2 is going to be about doom scrolling and how that ties into this. All right, I'll see you in the next one.